It is so exciting to be here tonight. You're going to learn a lot about why I picked this particular project, because it gives me the opportunity to actually build an example of all the things that I've been writing about for the last 12 years. Why is it that we tend to gravitate towards bigger and bigger and bigger houses? It used to be that you could build a bigger house and it was a good investment and then you could turn around and sell it. And so a lot of people were building for that investment more than they were for creating a place to live. So the real key to a lot of what I'm going to show you tonight and what I'm going to be building here in Libertyville has to do with this ceiling height variety, which is really the core of making less square footage feel like more. Frank Lloyd Wright was really the first guy to introduce this notion and help people understand that the third dimension has an enormous impact on our experience. A floor plan will tell you whether your couch can fit, it tells you how to get your feet from the garage to the kitchen, but it tells you absolutely nothing about what that house feels like. In order to know the feeling of the house, you have to have information about the third dimension, the heights of everything. And a lot of what I'm doing in the house that I'm designing is this care and attention to the third dimension so that you end up with a very different quality of space. It's what people are longing for, but what happens is they'll build house after house after house, thinking they're going to get their perfect dream house and then being disappointed. This is why. The first thing that occurred to me is that if you're going to really orient the house to the street and to the porch, we need to get the living spaces up front. Because the way that you actually get to use your porch is if you can move easily out onto it and if you can see it. One of the things that I've talked about, many of you know, in a new house is that you need to recognize where you as a household come in and out of the house. It's usually through the garage. You can have this gorgeous front entry, but if you always come in through the laundry room, it's pretty miserable. So there's a series of entry spaces. Oftentimes people assume if they've got a good front door, that's it. But entering is a very important process. You know, how many times do you just assume, well, a stairway goes right across from the front entry? We've always done it. But the fact is, the people that use the stairway are the homeowners. So there's absolutely no reason that it has to be associated with the front door. So what I've done in this house is actually located the stairway further back in the house so that it allows light to come from the second floor down. Many of you in this room know my radio interview punchline is, light to walk toward is not just a near-death experience. We are physiologically programmed to move towards light, and architects use it constantly to move you through their buildings without you knowing it. This hugely affects our lives within a home. They're subtle things, but they hugely affect the quality of your life. As we take a look at this house, we're using this principle of visual weight, which is something that architects talk about a lot. If you just look at these two images for a second, notice how the difference in color of the lower part from the upper part really makes the whole design pop. A lot of what people don't know about color is that by being too cautious, which is a good Midwestern trait, we end up also making it super dull. It's very important where you put windows and where you put skylights as to how much light you get from them. It's really shaping your experience of the space. That's what School Street is all about, is showing you how to use really simple, elegantly done details so that it makes that house absolutely charming. The key to building a not-so-big house is this. If you don't have the modulation of spaces, what architects call it, you end up feeling like it's small. But you do this, and it actually feels much, much larger. There's a Japanese kanji, which means the integration of house and garden. It's home means house and garden together. On the roof deck itself, I mentioned there are two different sitting places. So you come out from the upstairs from this door, and there's, first of all, a covered roof deck. That wall has a really important role to give you a sense of enclosure. I can't tell you how many people are afraid to imprint their house with their own personality. And yet, if you don't do that, you're going to want to move. And so it's really just giving people the courage of their convictions to create a place that feels like their home. One of my goals with the house in Libertyville is to help people understand how to get the house of their dreams.